You just need to stay away. And you just need to stay away. Stay away today. There's a heavy price to pay. Stay away, stay away, stay away. You just need to stay away. Prohibition, limitation. You just need to stay away.
Alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salam Allah, wa rasulullah. I want to welcome everyone to our last session. And this is our last session on the book, Forbidden Prohibitions. Forbidden Prohibitions. Well, y'all can see where my mind is. This is our last session of the book, Forbidden Imitations of Islam. And this was a wonderful book compiled by Sheikh Muhammad Saeed Atli, where as he went through the Sitta and took authentic hadiths addressing how as Muslims we are forbidden from imitating certain people, certain things. For example, we are forbidden from imitating the non-believers. Who can tell? Give me an example. Give us an example of an imitation of the non-believer. Who can give us an example of something that if we do or say is an imitation of the non-believer? Anyone?
Walking the aisle, walking the aisle whenever it's a wedding.
Okay, walking down the aisle of a wedding. This is not part of our Islamic ethics. This is not part of our Islamic morality. So that would be imitating the kafir. What else? What's another example of something? Don't give me no more wedding answers. What's another example of imitation of the non-Muslims?
I was going to say, when we are drinking, how they, some Muslims would toast or do cheers.
Okay, good job. That's a great example. That's something out the box. Exactly. We don't do cheers. We don't cheer each other or make a toast to one another before drinking. That's something that's specific to non-Muslims. That's imitating them. That's not a part of our culture. Remember, our culture is Islam. Brother Jabril, he said taking part in their festivals. Like what? What's an example? Give me an example of a festival that if you took part in, Brother Jabril, you would be imitating them. What do you mean? What festival? You have to give me an example, Brother Jabril, of a festival of theirs that if you took part in it, it's imitating them. Give me an example of that. Also, Brother Jabril said adopting their way of thinking. That doesn't mean anything. Give me an example of it. That's just like saying walking down the street. Don't be so general, guys. Islam is specific. Islam is specific. Don't generalize. I want an example. Give me an example of a Muslim adopting a non-Muslim way of thinking. You just gave, this is what we got to get past. We have to get past words and instead get to the meaning. Give me an example of that, Brother Jabril. Jabril gave us he gave us two good topics, but not a good example no example of either one. Go ahead, whoever else.
I was just going to add also how many Muslims nowadays do this thing with proposing and getting on one knee and stuff.
Okay, we already said no more weddings. No more wedding answers. We already said we already said the way we get married. We imitate the kafir and how they get married. That's an example of a festival. Okay, now give me some more examples of imitating the kafir. Wearing clothing like them. What clothing, Brother Shaheed? We have to be specific. What type of clothing? Because the Kafirs don't have the market on clothing. We wear clothes too. But what type of clothing, if I wore as a Muslim, would be imitating a non-Muslim? Just like what part of what Kafirs think, so do non-Muslims think. All human beings think. So what part of thinking, if I adopt it, would be imitating the Kafir? Y'all got to be specific. Good job. Brother Shahid said wearing skinny jeans and wearing leggings. A good job. That's imitating them, because skinny jeans and leggings goes against our Islamic principles. Good job, Shahid. Now you got it. Y'all got to be specific. Okay. Voting in their elections, which is clearly again, Brother Jabril, none of your answers are correct because you're not making it specific. What elections? Voting in what elections? Is it haram for me to vote on on what day of the week the garbage will be taken out? That's what I'm saying. The Muslims today, we have to be specific. We can't just throw out words like that. We have to be specific. Give me an example of what type of election is imitating them. Okay, go ahead. Whoever else that was, go ahead.
I was going to just give another way of how a behavior is another way of how our kids is behaving, just like the non-Muslims, as far as in the way they speak, as far as in the language, that like how they walk, the pants hanging down, just in general of the girls. Just, I don't know if that's a different question, because I think you said
okay, I want y'all to stop right there. Y'all see how she gave an example of imitating the non-Muslims, and their dress is for the boys to walk with their pants hanging down or under their derriere. This totally contradicts. See how you have to be specific. Good job. Now give me another specific example of imitation in clothing, if you're going to use clothing. If it's going to be imitation in talk, say that. Imitation in walk, y'all have to be specific.
I'm going to do imitation of hairstyle. How some people nowadays have their hair knotted up with dreads and other things like that.
Is that imitation of the Kafir?
The jinn.
Yes. To be honest, guys, that's really imitation of the jinn. The jinn wear dreadlocks. I gave y'all several authentic hadiths, all from Bukhari and Muslim. That's really imitation of the jinn. I want imitation of non-Muslims. Give me an example of Muslims imitating non-Muslims.
Going the way we give dawah, going door to door, knocking on doors, telling
exactly.
Them, hey.
The way we give dawah when we're knocking on doors, that's not a part of Islam. That's against our morality. That's against our principles. The Prophet didn't tell us that we're obligated to knock on everybody's door in the world and tell them about Islam. We're not obligated to do that. And the Prophet didn't do that, nor did his companions. Like Mukhtar taught you guys today, even when Islam spread throughout the Roman and Persian Empire, nowhere did Allah command the Muslims to go knock on every Persian's door and every Roman's door and give them flyers about Islam. This is how Muslims today are imitating the Kafir when it comes to dawah. Good job. What's another example? I want somebody to give me Brother Jabril's answer of examples. I want somebody to give me an example of taking part in a non-Muslim festival that's imitation of them.
Participating in Valentine's Day.
Exactly.
It goes against our morals.
You see that, Jabril? Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day. This is some non-Muslim holiday. This is a non-Muslim festival. It totally contradicts our morality. We don't believe in girlfriends. We don't believe in boyfriends. So what are you doing imitating them, celebrating them and that? Good job. Let's see. Wait a minute. Now, Brother Jabril came up with Easter.
Definitely not.
And Christmas. Exactly. Participating. And Easter, but this, he's really taking it to lawful and unlawful. I want examples of imitation. How is it that if I participated in Easter, you got to be more specific. This is imitation, not lawful and unlawful. Wait a minute, let me look at his answers, y'all, because it's hard for me to keep following him on here. Okay, what else he got? Let me see what else. Sister, Brother Jabril, dating and having illicit relationships. He's right with that. That's a good example. We imitate the kafir by dating. There's no dating in Islam. This contradicts our Islamic morals, our Islamic values. Going out together to the movies alone with a man. This is imitation of the kafir. Exactly. What else he got here? Sister Aisha, she said showing off our money. Okay, but remember, showing off your money and possessions is not imitating the kafir. Remember, to imitate a people means to do something that only they do. Arrogance, all of mankind are arrogant. That's a part of all of our nature. But to imitate a people means to do something that only they do. There's a lot of Muslims who show off their money. There's a lot of Muslims that show off their wealth. That's the problem of mankind. The Prophet had to deal with his companions for that. Some of the companions wanted to show off. That's not imitation. Imitation means to exhibit a behavior or some words that are specific to a certain group. Okay?
I would like to say, like, the way they propose to women and the way
we already did. No more weddings. No more weddings.
I just came in. I'm sorry. I have another one.
Yeah. We already said the way Muslims get married today, imitating them with that crap. Yeah, that's a good one.
I have another one. Like, Muslim nowadays, they use like prayer bead, like non-Muslim do Hail Mary with their bead, zikr bead, and Muslim use the zikr bead and copying them.
That's not imitation. Again, to imitate a people means to do something that is specific to them. The non-Muslims aren't the only people that count with beads. I got hadiths I can throw out here that are authentic, that where the companions used to count with rocks because Arabs were illiterate. So no, y'all still don't get it. Imitation is a behavior or a way or a speech that is only specific to a particular group, and it contradicts Islamic morals or Islamic values.
A behavior is putting your tattoos on your body.
That's an imitation. If I'm putting tattoos on my body, I'm imitating another creation. If I put flowers on my body with a tattoo, I am changing the creation of Allah, and I'm imitating a flower. Good job. Come on, give me some more examples of imitation.
And then the Muslims said, happy Sunday, and they say happy Friday.
Good job. How many Muslims go who whatever, and it was an American, an African. Let me tell y'all this: Juma Mubarak. Juma Mubarak. How did this innovation begin? That's an innovation, first of all. How did it begin? And where did it begin? It began in America. The African American community invented Juma Mubarak. Just like the African American community invented the word revert, which ain't no real word for us. Just like the African American community in America began polygyny, which is the wrong word too. Okay? There is no such, and Juma Mubarak, this is an imitation. It's an imitation of the non-believers, of the Christians. The Christians go around wishing everyone a happy Sunday. That's part of their culture. That's part of their tradition. Happy Sunday. This is specific to the Christians. What happened is, here in America, in the 2000s, some African American converted from Christianity to Islam. And this person loved their Sundays. They love how all the Christians, even though they fornicated all week, get drunk all week, smoke weed all week, Sunday is the happy day. Because they all get clean for that one day, and they go to the church, eat the dinner, play the music, get the spirit, and all that. And that person missed that. So this African American female was a female. She began the tradition of Juma Mubarak, Happy Friday. Why don't we turn our Friday into a day of celebration like we did when we were Christians? Let's wish everyone happy Friday. That's a great example of imitation. To imitate in Islam means to do something that is specific to another group that contradicts our way of life. We don't go around wishing nobody happy Friday. The prophet didn't do that. The companions didn't do that. Even though Friday is our special day, it's a day of worship. It is not a day of party. We don't party in Islam. We worship. That's what separates us from the other people of the book. Their celebrations consist of partying. Ours consist of dua. Everybody understand that? Good job. That's a great example of imitation. This Juma Mubarak. Any of you who do it, you better stop, because you're committing a terrible sin. Number one, you're innovating. You're introducing something into this religion in regards to worship that Allah did not authorize, that the Prophet Muhammad did not authorize. So that's one big strike. And the second big strike is you're imitating Christians. You're going to pay for that in your grave. It may even prevent you from entering paradise, because your allegiance is not to Allah. You're still harboring allegiance to Christianity. So all of you Muslims out there with that Juma Mubarak, you better stop it before you die, and you better repent. Big sin. Good job. Okay, another imitation. Good job, Brother Shahid. Muslims, wait a minute, hold on, people. Muslims creating dating websites. Good job. There's no dating in Islam, but because you want the money, you want to compete with the non-believers, you want to adopt their lifestyle. This is a great, horrific imitation. Muslims and their dating websites. Good job, Brother Shahid. Let's see what else. I need to get these people on YouTube for the rest of y'all Who else? Let's see. Barely in the elections, dating, okay, showing off our money. Okay, that one's not a good one. Okay, is New Year's what New Year's? Be more specific, Aisha. What do you mean New Year's celebration? Remember, I'm not asking you guys the lawful and the unlawful. I'm asking you to give me an example of the Muslims imitating the non-Muslims. So be specific about that. It may be a good answer, but you gotta be specific. Otherwise, it's not a good answer. Okay, Sister Jamila said women wearing jewelry around their ankle to make noise to get men's attention. Y'all tell me, is that imitation? Yes or no? Is that an imitation, people? Yes or no? What y'all think?
I don't think so.
I want everybody to tell me yes or no. If I put on jewelry around my ankle to get attention, is that imitating non-Muslims? Yes or no? The rest of y'all, what do y'all think? This is an easy answer. I'm surprised it even came in here. Do the non-Muslim women, are they the only women do Christian women, Jewish women, or Hindus, or Buddhists, are they the only women that wear bracelets around their ankles? That's the first part of the question. Are they the only women who wear bracelets around their ankle?
They are not the only women.
Okay, so since they're not the only women that wear bracelets around their ankles, are we imitating them because I put a bracelet around my ankle?
No, we're not imitating them.
So how does that even fall in this category? Jamila, imitation means to do something that is specific to the non-Muslims. Arabic women been wearing jewelry around their ankles since God created female. That is not an imitation. Whether that ankle bracelet makes noise or not ain't got nothing to do with imitation. If it's making noise to get attention, that's called lawful and unlawful. That ain't called imitation. Y'all get it? Y'all got to think.
I have two, Sister Layla.
Wait a minute, let me do this. Hold on. Because that's a lot of answers here. I can't forget. They say I overlook them. Women who walk in a sexy way to get the attention of men, and men who walk in a thuggish way to get the attention of women. Is that imitation of something, Sister Aisha? Is that imitating anything? Who are they imitating if they do it? What are they imitating if they do it? Again, imitation is to do a behavior that is specific to a certain group. What group is that? That's not non-Muslims. Are non-Muslims the only people that are sexy? There's a lot of sexy Muslim women out there. Is this a question of lawful and unlawful, or is it a question of imitation? See how we get the lines blurred. I'm not asking what's lawful. I'm not asking what's unlawful. I'm asking about imitation. Okay? Okay, Brother Jabril, now he's getting better. He said haircuts. Good job, Jabril. Imitating the non-Muslim men with your haircut, such as the fade and a mohawk. Good job. See how that is? That's imitation. Okay? If you have your hair cut in a hairstyle that's specific to a non-Muslim, that's a good imitation, good example of it. Exactly, Jabril, you got it now. You doing good now. See how easy Islam is, so simple. It starts to click and make sense. Now you making sense, Jabril. You got it. You got it. Good job, Jabril. Right, jewelry, don't imitate non-Muslims. See, you got it now, Jabril. It's easy. Good job, Aisha. Now you see that answer's wrong. Yeah, exactly. Okay, good job. Look at Brother Shaheed. Brother Shaheed said another imitation would be, instead of answering the greeting with wa alaikum salam, you wave your hand. Good job. That's imitating a non-Muslim. We're imitating them in their greeting. The greeting for the Muslim is assalamu alaikum, and to shake the hand. Good job, Brother Shaheed. Our greeting is not assalamu alaikum and wave. Good job. See how y'all got it? Okay, go ahead, people in our Zoom room now. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss
I had two. This is one that's for the animals, like people who actually.
I didn't say animals. I want the non-Muslim.
Okay, like putting a bindi in the middle of your forehead, like the Hindus do with the
that would be great too. Exactly. The Hindus put that thing in the middle of their forehead. You want to imitate them? If you walk around with that thing in the middle of your forehead, that's their culture. That's something specific to them. That would be imitating them. Okay, let me ask this question. Eating with your fork, eating with the left hand instead of the right, who are you imitating?
The jinn.
Good job, Brother Jabril. You remember that from the jinn. Yes, that's what's going to be my next question too. My next question is, now I want you guys to give me examples of imitation of the jinn. And who was that on the mic? Go ahead.
Mr. Omar Hare.
Oh, go ahead, Omar Hare. She better get it together.
I was talking about imitation of the non-Muslim that celebrating birthday.
Exactly. Celebrating birthdays. Remember, I asked you guys to give me a specific festival. You got to be specific. Birthday celebration is not a part of our way of life. It goes against our belief system. This is an act of worship. All acts of worship are haram unless the law said otherwise. So for Muslims celebrating birthdays, good job. That's imitation of the non-believers. The non-believers worship their children. We don't. Good job. Okay, examples of imitating the calf of the jinn. Okay, brother. Go ahead.
One of the examples of imitating the jinn, when you're sitting in a way that one side of your body is on the shade and the other one on the sun.
Good job. If you're sitting outside and you got one part of your body in the shade, the other part of the body in the sun, that's imitating a jinn. Good job. Brother Shaheed, he said lying on your stomach with your legs up. There's so many of us do. You see it on TV, little young girls writing in their diaries, with their leg on their stomach. Laying on your stomach, that is imitating a jinn. Good job, Shaheed. Brother Jabril. Exactly. Oh, that's the non-Muslims. Exactly. We talked about that, setting up booths and debating and having interface. All of that is imitation of the kafir. Good job, Jabril. You got it now. Good job. Sakina said sleeping on your stomach. Wearing dreadlocks. Brother Shaheed wearing dreadlocks. Exactly. All of those things are imitation of the jinn. So it's important for us to learn, what things are done specifically by other groups so we can stay away from that. Living in untidy places. Good job. That's imitation of the jinn too. How many of you thought about that? Some of these Muslims keep nasty houses. Some of y'all houses are horrific with clutter everywhere. You're imitating the jinn. The jinn keep filthy houses. They live in untidy places. Allah loves cleanliness. And then also we talked about different actions of worship. that are specific to jinn. And that's what we're going to finish up today. But before I get into those hadiths, there's only 3 hadiths left. Who can give me examples of how we imitate the animals when making salat? Give me some examples of imitation of the animals when praying.
Not going all the way down, picking like a rooster.
Exactly. When instead of going all the way down to the floor when you prostrate, you just go half down and come up real quick. That's pecking like a rooster. Good job. Good job. Sister Aisha, she said prostrating on your elbow all the way down to exactly like a camel. That's how camels kneel. Kneeling like a camel instead of having them elbows up. Good job, Aisha. Good job, Miss Jackson. Sitting like a monkey with your legs up. How many of you see people sit on the ground with their legs up and you can see their private parts? That's imitating a monkey. It's also imitating the jinn because the jinn sit that way too. Or, like Miss Jackson said, prostrating with your arms down on the floor like a dog. Them elbows have to be up. So, mashallah, those are all examples as to how even when we pray, we have to be careful to not imitate the animals. And today what I'm going to do is complete the book. We're going to go over the last few hadiths, which is only 3, I think. And then we'll be done with this book. And Sheikh Atlee gives us more examples of imitating the animals when we pray that we need to stay away from. And let me put that PowerPoint. You guys did really good with your answers. I'm really proud of everybody's answers here. Alhamdulillah. Okay, let me put this on the screen for the Zoom people. And now let me share it to everyone here. Hold on. Imitations. Yeah, there it is. Okay. And again, this is a wonderful book. For those of you who didn't buy the book, please go buy it because it's a great book. You need to know what these different imitations are of people, of kafir, of animals, and jinn. And let's look at the hadith for tonight, the last of the few hadiths. And this is kneeling like a camel. When a camel kneels, it kneels in its spot and it remains there. We're forbidden from doing that. We have the hadith of Abu Hurairah. He says that the Prophet said, when one of you makes sujood, this is what Miss Jackson was talking about. When one of you prostrates, you should not prostrate like a camel. This is what Sister Aisha was saying too. You want to put your hands, first of all, when you prostrating, you don't want your elbows to be touching the ground. You want your elbows to be up. And secondly, don't put your hands down before the knees. Now, let me talk about this hadith here, though. A lot of people will come to me and say, Sister Layla, when I go to make salat, when I say Allahu Akbar and go to prostrate, I cannot put my knees down first. If I put my knees down first, I'm going to fall over. Well, if you can't prostrate with your knees first, then don't worry about it. You can put your hands down first. I have never been able to go to the floor knees first, ever in my life. I've always prostrated hands first. So that's permissible in Islam. But when we're talking about the camel, we're talking about prostrating with your elbows on the ground, like Sister Aisha was saying. Those elbows have to be up. Don't hold them down touching the floor when you're prostrating. But if you have to go to the floor hands first, then there's nothing wrong with that. But if you can do knees first, that's alhamdulillah, because you're really differentiating how a camel does it. But if you can't do knees first, don't worry about that. Otherwise, you're going to be in a bad place. You're going to be on the floor on top of your head like I was when I was 10 years old with my head busted and I had to get stitches. I still got the stitches on my head right now. Okay? Also, another imitation. How many of you went to a mosque to pray and you notice that there are some people when you're sitting, right before you say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum, how many of you have seen people raise their hands and give salams? This is called imitating a horse. This is not permissible for us. We do not raise our hands to give salams. The Prophet told us to not do that. In fact, we have this hadith from Jabir. He says, when we prayed with the Prophet, we said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and one of us raised our hands. When the Prophet saw this, he said, why did you raise your hands like the tail of a horse? He said, all you had to do is keep your hands on your thigh and then just say Assalamu alaikum to the right and then Assalamu alaikum to the left. This hadith is Sahih Muslim. So when you see people's raising their hands to give salams, this is forbidden in Islam and it's incorrect. It's forbidden because the Prophet said it was in this hadith. And it's imitating a horse, as he said in this hadith. So those are the last two hadiths from this book. And I want you guys to keep that in mind, because every time I would go to the mosque, I would always see at least one sister raising her hands to give salams. She'd go, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum. What is this? This is, hey, you're whooshing your tail like a horse.